Good evening. I'm Doug Linkhart, the president of the National Civic League, and I'm thrilled that you have joined us for the opening ceremony of the 73rd Annual All-America City Awards. I want to congratulate the 20 finalist communities for this year's awards and wish you well in the coming days. Before we get started, I wanted to give everyone some background on the National Civic League, which was originally founded in 1894 by a group of civic leaders who were concerned about the incompetence, inefficiency, the patronage, and corruption they were seeing in local governments back at that time. In response, over the course of the next 125 plus years, the League led major reforms in the way local communities were governed, including the professionalism of city services, the creation of the city manager system, the nonpartisan makeup of many local elected bodies, and electoral reform. Most recently, we focused on promoting inclusive civic engagement to create more equitable and thriving communities. Then back in 1949, the League handed out its first All-America City Awards, an honor given annually to 10 communities for outstanding civic accomplishments. The award reflected a growing interest among members of the League's board of directors in the importance of civic engagement and citizen participation in local and regional affairs. Now celebrating its 73rd anniversary, the All-America City Award recognizes communities that leverage civic engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation to successfully address local issues and create stronger connections among residents, businesses, nonprofit, and government leaders. For this year's All-America City Awards, we are partnering with the Campaign for Grade Level Reading to recognize communities that are improving the prospects for early childhood success and equitable learning recovery, including for children whose families are served by the nation's public housing agencies and affordable housing organizations. The next few days are all about you, our finalists, and the important work you are doing in our community. We congratulate you and look forward to celebrating you over the next few days. To those who are attending our opening workshop or finalist presentations today, thank you for coming to share and learn with us. During this opening ceremony, we will introduce our amazing All-America City finalists. Then we will be hearing from Ralph Smith, Managing Director of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, co-convener of this year's awards. Next, we will be joined by Patty Garrett, Mayor of the All-America City of Decatur, Georgia, and Chair of the National Civic League's Board of Directors, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Finally, we will hear from today's keynote speaker, Adrianne Todman, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. But first, let's announce this year's finalists.
Every year, the National Civic League recognizes communities across the country for the All-America City Award. This award recognizes the community's ability to bring residents, community organizations, and government together to solve the challenges in their communities. Over 500 communities of all sizes from all across the country have won. The 73rd Annual All-America City Awards are being co-convened with the Campaign for Grade Level Reading. This year's finalists are being recognized for using housing as a platform to promote early school success and equitable learning recovery. The 2022 finalists are Alliance, Ohio, Atlanta, Georgia, Barberton, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Des Moines, Iowa, El Paso, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, Los Angeles, California, Louisville, Kentucky, Metro Omaha, Nebraska. New Haven, Connecticut. Palacios, Texas. Phoenix, Arizona. Portland, Maine. Roanoke, Virginia. Sacramento, California. San Antonio, Texas. Springfield, Massachusetts. Suncoast Region, Florida. Tarpon Springs, Florida. Congratulations, finalists. Thank you for joining forces with community partners to build brighter futures for the children and families of your communities.
What a great group of finalists. Your commitment to using housing as a platform to promote early school success and equitable learning and recovery is an inspiration. We welcome you and the spirit and energy you bring. This event happens because of the collaboration and hard work of many people. We thank our sponsors, particularly Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the All-America City Awards for the 14th year. Our co-convener, the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, CGI Digital, Mission Square Retirement, and other sponsors and supporters listed in your program. Let's also give a big thank you to our application reviewers, youth award interviewers, and jury. Lastly, but not least, a special thanks to the National Civic League and Campaign for Grade Level Reading staff for making this all possible. Although we're virtual this year, we hope you use these next few days to attend workshops, read about your fellow finalist communities, explore the booths, and enjoy the talent showcases. In the words of people who have been a part of All-America City Awards before, we hope that you fall in love with your community all over again and are inspired to do even more in the coming years to make it better. I'd now like to introduce Ralph Smith. Ralph is the founding managing director of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, a nationwide effort to mobilize communities to take action to ensure more hopeful futures for children in economically challenged, fragile, and marginalized families. Since its launch a decade ago, 5,200 organizations across the nation have formed local sponsoring coalitions to bring the Campaign for Grade Level Reading to their communities. These coalitions and the local United Ways, community foundations, and family foundations that support them have enabled the Campaign for Grade Level Reading to develop into a network of more than 350 communities in the United States and Canada. Over the past 2 years, Ralph and the CGLR team have focused much of their efforts on sounding the alarm about the scope and consequences of the learning loss resulting from school closures and the urgent need to invest the time, attention, energy, and dollars needed to accelerate equitable learning and recovery. Ralph?
Thank you, Doug. Thank you very much. As a longtime fan of the National Civic League, I'm a fan since John Gardner was chair of the board of the National Civic League, so that ages me, but it tells you how long I've been a fan. Okay. I am personally delighted to have been invited to join you and the National Civic League team at the opening session of the 73rd, I think, National Civic League program and today's All-America City Awards. And on this, point, I know I can speak for those 5,200 organizations across the nation that you mentioned. We are honored to have the opportunity to co-sponsor and co-host this event with the National Civic League for the third time in a decade. First in 2012, then again in 2017, and now in 2022. In 2012, we knew that the National Civic League and this prestigious award represented a unique affirmation of support for our aspiration to secure more hopeful futures for the children of economically challenged, fragile, and marginalized families, a population that is disproportionately families and children of color. And we knew that our focus on grade level reading would be embraced by the National Civic League and its networks for what it was and still is: a commitment to secure the early school success that leads to later school success, that predicts high school graduation and the pathway out of poverty for the next generation. We knew that in 2017 as well, but by then we had confirmed that working in close proximity with local stakeholder coalitions, working and walking with them, with the local funders and program partners, could yield meaningful results in terms of children, more children ready for school, fewer children chronically absent from school, and fewer children on the summer slide, and more children prepared to meet that third grade reading milestone. You know, there was the progress we recognized in 2017 and we were seeing up to 2019. It was slow, it was small, it was jagged, and it was frail, but it was progress nonetheless. And what we know today is that we're navigating toward a new normal with far more children stranded on the wrong side of an even larger gap. A gap that is not just larger, but it's significantly more complicated and complex. We know that as we confront the realities of learning loss, that learning loss has been so significant and so disproportionate that for some children, it could become a crisis metastasizing into a catastrophe. A catastrophe which could make the phrase first used by McKinsey and adopted by the campaign, you know, the hurt could last a lifetime. We intended that as a warning. We're now fearful it could become a prophecy. And as we confront that, we are bolstered by the communities you just named and those communities that are finalists, and by all the communities who took this as an opportunity to state loudly and clearly and boldly that they are aware of the reality, they understand the current situation with problems that are complicated, complex, and even wicked, but they are refusing to succumb to despair. In fact, these communities have chosen to, in their own ways, they have chosen to affirm that early school success must continue as a priority, but now must be coupled with an equally urgent priority around equitable learning recovery. These communities in their own ways are asserting that school-centric strategies proved inadequate to the task before the pandemic, And they're even more so now that it's clear that recovery will require systems of services and supports that are 24/7, 365 and multi-generation. And what we know is that schools are not 24, they're not 365, and they're not 7, and they're multi-generational only under duress. These communities are telling us that they are prepared to behave as if they really believe the notion of meeting families where they are, literally as well as figuratively. In these communities where it's not just a box to check, there's a deep understanding that public housing and affordable housing represent a platform upon which to rebuild robust programs for early school success and learning recovery. And perhaps what I like most about these communities is that they recognize that the pandemic brought some unprecedented opportunities for invention and innovation, and that there are bright spots and lessons upon which to build, 3 of which are represented very much in the proposals and the plans and the aspirations embodied in the applications. One bright spot is the increased sense of urgency around digital equity. We hear that echoed in so many of these communities. A second is the enhanced appreciation for parents as essential partners in their children's learning and development, and the renewed sense that the relationship between parents and teachers is a real important one to nurture, and that maybe we ought to prioritize equipping, upskilling, and de-stressing parents so that they can succeed in that partnership. And there is in these communities a realization that schools, a growing realization that schools are multitasking agencies, and we can't count on schools doing this alone. And so there's a deeper appreciation for what we call learning happens everywhere. And what learning happens everywhere means that the rest of us are not going to continue to see this as a spectator sport, leaving schools to be blamed and sometimes applauded. We're going to get out of the bleachers, out of the stands, onto the field, and into the game. That really the teaching and learning enterprise must be owned by all of us, and schools, I think, are prepared to welcome that help. Now, I will admit that as far as the campaign for grade level reading is concerned, we do have a favorite or two in tonight. They will go unnamed, but they know who they are. But despite our favorite communities, we do not expect there will be any losers on Thursday evening. We need every one of the communities named to understand that we are prepared to work with each and all of you. We are prepared to admit that we intend to see ourselves, to see the campaign for grade level reading and our networks as the grateful beneficiaries of your effort, your experience, your energy, and your inspiration. So let me say congratulations to everyone in advance and say that I am looking forward to seeing and hearing more about what you plan to do and what you're already doing, and looking forward even more to having an opportunity to have our team join with yours as we look toward the months and years ahead. Doug, again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and we'll keep it going.
Thank you, Ralph. We're really happy to be working with you. These past couple of years have been particularly trying for educators, for nonprofits who work with young people, and really have a ton of respect for your organization and all the folks who are presenting in these next couple of days. These are sort of the cream of the crop, but we know that there are many other organizations beyond this group of 20, many other communities that you're working with throughout the country to make a difference and really move the needle on grade level reading, which is the key to everything else that those young people will do in their lives.
Thank you so much.
I'd now like to introduce the National Civic League's chair of the board of directors, Mayor Patty Garrett. Patty Garrett was elected to the Decatur City Commission in 2009 and has served as mayor since 2016. She serves as the chair of the board of the National Civic League and on the board of the Georgia Municipal Association, where she's a member of the Federal Policy Council, the Environmental and Natural Resources Committee. She's interested in health policy, particularly related to access to healthy foods, equity, environmental policies, active lifestyles, and the role of local government in fostering healthy, equitable, and vibrant communities. National Civic League has benefited greatly from her board service, leadership, and the example that Decatur has set as an all-America city. And we refer to Decatur also often in our publications for the many great things that are happening there. Mayor Garrett.
Thank you, Doug. One of the great things that's happening right now outside is we're having a major thunderstorm. So apologize, I was kicked off and had to rejoin by phone. The video is a little distorted, and I apologize for that. So, but I'm hesitant to try to do anything any different at this point so that I can stay connected. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and certainly a pleasure to serve as the board chair of the National Civic League. The All-America City Award has recognized the best in civic innovation for over 70 years, with over 500 communities receiving the designation. And Decatur, Georgia, my city, was thrilled to be recognized as an All-America City in 2018. And the award has served to solidify our culture of engagement and collaboration, and has brought the community an immense sense of pride. And this year's theme, Housing as a Platform to Promote Early School Success and Equitable Learning Recovery, could not be more timely. I've heard, and hopefully many of you have also heard from some of the finalists, and we'll hear from the others over the next few days. I look forward to continuing to learn about the unique approaches and commitments to housing as part of strategies to improve literacy and student success. And it's really a delight that we're able to partner with the grade level reading this year and in past years and in future years. It's a great partnership, and appreciate their support of the league, and certainly appreciate their support to all of the cities that are competing as finalists this year. And now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Adrianne Todman, Deputy Secretary, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. As the 12th Deputy Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, she has dedicated her career to improving people's lives and strengthening communities through housing. Deputy Secretary Todman served as the CEO of the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, or NARO, from 2017 to June 2021, during which time she improved the association's financial standings and business operations, created a member-centric culture, and advocated for funding and policies to preserve and develop affordable housing and help communities thrive. Before joining NARO, Deputy Secretary Todman served as the executive director of the District of Columbia Housing Authority from 2009 to 2017. At DCHA, Ms. Todman implemented a national award-winning model to house veterans experiencing homelessness, increase home ownership opportunities by 50% for low and moderate income families served by DCHA, increased the number of affordable units available in submarkets experiencing rapid growth, and oversaw 12 concurrent large redevelopment efforts. She prioritized youth empowerment programs and workforce development and commissioned the first citywide needs assessment of public housing residents. Deputy Secretary Todman also served in several career positions at HUD. First, as a manager of HUD's $500 million grant competition that focused on the redevelopment of distressed public housing sites. Then, as a policy aide in both the Office of Public and Indian Housing and the Office of the Secretary, where she worked with staff across HUD's programs on policy solutions and streamlining implementation. Deputy Secretary Todman believes that we have a responsibility to confront housing insecurity and help ensure access to good homes, to eliminate all forms of housing discrimination, and to build our nation's housing infrastructure in a way that expands equitable access to housing for all people. As Deputy Secretary, Ms. Todman will work alongside Secretary Fudge to ensure that HUD has the staff and tools needed to administer and provide oversight for programs that are critical to supporting families and to moving our country forward. We welcome Deputy Secretary Todman.
Hello, and congratulations to the finalists of the 73rd Annual All-America City Awards. You should be proud of this recognition. It is a significant milestone. I also want to express my appreciation to the National Civic League for its leadership in creating this distinguished community recognition opportunity, and to the Campaign for Grade Level Reading for serving as a co-convener. Here at HUD, we share in the collective belief in the power of an engaged community and the ability for public, private, and nonprofit sectors to come together and support families and children, particularly those who are most marginalized and disenfranchised. It may seem like an obvious thing to say, but access to stable housing has a massive impact on our individual and collective success. Why don't you think about it for a second? During the height of the pandemic, we were told to stay home. Imagine if you did not have a home. Imagine if you were in jeopardy of losing your home. At the end of the day, housing simply matters. And it matters particularly when it comes to the well-being of children. The places where a child grows up play a significant role in the life course they will take, and whether the wind is at their backs propelling them forward, or is instead a headwind to be overcome at each step. We know that housing is a platform for a child's story in life, even before they are born. We also know that HUD's programs and HUD's local partners, particularly our local housing authorities, have the potential to strengthen early childhood development and the ability to seize educational opportunities that follow. I have had a long career working with HUD's programs and certainly with local housing authorities, and I know the work that both entities do to really work on behalf of children. For instance, there's a work underway at housing authorities and local schools so that they can help reduce truancy. And there are efforts like the Book Rich Environment, an initiative that the Campaign for Grade Level Reading helped found. And this initiative brings together HUD, education, housing agencies, libraries, and other literacy partners with the goal of nurturing the love of reading. This work, that you all know so well and do every single day, shapes a child's access to opportunity. Over the past decade, the All America City Award winners have represented the best in advancing early literacy, healthy, resilient communities, and supports to veterans and military families. And I am so very proud that public and assisted housing is among these essential components of civic leadership. I am honored to represent our secretary, the entire HUD team, and the thousands of local housing leaders across the country who believe in this work. And I look forward to each of the finalist communities sharing how our housing partners are true civic partners as well. Congratulations to the finalists as well as the awardees. Yours is urgent work and important work. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. Those are great remarks. We really appreciate your being with us. And Ralph, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share, sort of following up the Secretary?
Let me tell you, Doug, when I listen to the Secretary, what comes to mind is what a difference a decade makes. Mayor, Doug has heard this story at least 2 or 3 times, but I don't know if you have. 10 years ago, we were in Denver for this award celebration. And what we thought was a closed door strategy meeting was stormed, and that's overstates it, but several executives from public housing joined us and invited themselves to join us to offer the observation that we were under attending to families in public housing, that we were following a course that had been set by many that had gone before us. We were thinking and talking and planning for kids, but not the kids who lived in public housing. And they urged us to change course, to visit public housing developments, to meet with their associations, to learn more about the potential of public housing as a partner for the work we were doing. And we did. And over that time, especially in the first 5 or 6 years following the work, that meeting in 2012, we spent a lot of time with the leadership and the residents of public housing. And in 2017, Doug, you may remember that we had a number of those leaders. We had 36 of those leaders join us again in Denver. Now flash forward to 2022. That hearty band of executives that decided that they should crash our meeting and expand our aperture as well as the agenda, they must feel so proud today that this convening is welcomed by the Deputy Secretary of HUD, endorsing the agenda that they had asked us to even consider. And this is the kind of event which gives us all hope that we should continue moving forward, that we should listen to those who are critics, that we should embrace the provocation, that we should broaden the circle. And in doing so, we're going to do more and better work. And this is a very proud moment for the campaign, and I hope for the National Civic League.
Thank you, Ralph. As you know, we had a few communities presenting earlier today. And It's truly inspiring to see what's happening on the ground. It's easy for many of us to get a little depressed when we look at the national picture and what's happening globally, really, in terms of not only the pandemic, but the widening gap between populations on poverty and such. And it gives one hope to be able to see what's happening in these individual towns that you bring to us for this All-America City Awards. And I know that after 2 more days of hearing these stories, I'm gonna leave feeling a lot more optimistic about our nation's future. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Before we go this evening, I want to share some important information. In the event platform, you will find the schedule for the next few days. We keep the jury presentations on schedule. They start tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Anyone want to win a Southwest Airlines gift card? There are opportunities for Southwest gift cards through the Civic Action Fair and the Cultural Entertainment Showcase. So be sure to vote for your favorite. Have fun, explore the great content, learn as much as you can, watch as many presentations as possible. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you for being with us today.